Hi, my name is Glenn Story. I'm the founder and CEO of Patriot Mobile. I'd love for you to learn more about Patriot Mobile, www.patriotmobile.com/Gene V. More importantly, I'd like you to be a subscriber to his show. I mean, his Truthcast is amazing. And if you get to listen to some of them, you'll never go back. I really encourage you to come watch it.
Throughout history, the spirit of patriotism has prevailed. The battles may have changed, but the values remain the same. Today, in 2024, we find ourselves at a pivotal moment where the call for unity, freedom, and a better future echoes louder than ever. For more than 10 years, Patriot Mobile has been committed to supporting the values that make our nation great. With affordable plans and reliable nationwide coverage, Patriot Mobile is not just a wireless service. It's a call to action for those who believe in the American dream. Because this year is not just any year, it's the most important year since our nation's founding. Choose a wireless carrier that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Friend Gene Valentino, the Velvet Hammer, is with us. And of course, the studio crowd is losing their mind because they love Fridays at 7:15. Good morning, Gene.
Your one-man band, Sunshine Band, has arrived.
So very happy to have you here on this cold, very cold Friday. And I don't know if you're watching the forecast, but it looks like, we're setting up for another possible snow in the panhandle of Florida.
Yeah, it was 1 year ago. We about almost to the day where we had about 12 inches to 18 inches along the Gulf Coast. This is definitely a change in weather conditions. I certainly wouldn't call it global warming.
It's too cold to be global warming, but in any case, that it is what it is, and maybe we'll get some, maybe we won't. You know, it's always tricky for us to get snow this far south, but in any case, a lot of the kids are ready for that. And if it happens overnight on Saturday night, hey, we don't have to go anywhere Sunday, so it looks like it'll be okay this year. Last year, they shut down the schools, and the roads were a mess and all of that stuff, but in any case, we'll see what happens. Okay, so Gene, we have so many things going on out there. It's hard to even know where to start. One of the things that I saw this past week, it just amazes me, the gall that some of these states have. Minnesota, you've got Illinois, some of these states that are suing the feds. They're saying, Judge, stop the federal government from enforcing federal law. And you got to scratch your head and wonder, what is going on?
Well, just think about it, Michael. We have this term of law in the United States called Posse Comitatus. It was brought up and passed by Congress back in the early years, goes way back near 1807. But since then, we have the Insurrection Act, which is the exception to the Posse Comitatus Act, bars active duty troops from domestic enforcement, law enforcement roles. But the Insurrection Act is one of the few legal exceptions to the rule. The president is considering using the Insurrection Act to put the bad actors in place, primarily in these blue state sanctuary city areas, that have interfered with the federal government's ability to protect the nation at large, not just a village or a city or a town, by going into that town and extricating the thousands and thousands of felons, rapists, child molesters that are buried into the neighborhoods. They could be down the street from your house, renting someplace. These people are sleeper cells, I call them, that are going to strike at some point, just as they did on 9/11. The problem is you have people a younger generation of people who have no understanding about what we went through since 9/11 in trying to protect this nation from the craziness, the recklessness of the world. And in parallel, just to make here's a point of reference. Here's Donald Trump with unbridled authority in Venezuela, in Israel, and the Gaza Strip, in Iran, and now coming back to Syria and Iran to enforce the will and might of the American people on them to get their acting gear and get in line. You have, you have 2,500 people at least that have been murdered in Iran by the Iranian Republic, the deep state guard they have over there. And you have another 18,000 of them detained in one way or another. And we have more authority to go in there and fix that problem without interference than we do in trying to protect our neighborhoods and villages, because our Constitution shows respect towards the state level of government and the local level of government. But it's gone too far. You cannot try to use the bad actors that are acting up overseas in the neighborhoods and villages and streets of America and get away with it. More importantly, you've got governors like Governor Mike Waltz and this mayor in Minneapolis who are blocking they're not cooperating with ICE. If they would only give information to ICE about where these criminals are that they know about, or simply hand over to the feds those that are currently detained at taxpayers' expense in the cities or counties, then we would be able to move them out of the country immediately without any issue in the street. The only reason ICE is in the street, and this is making the 6 o'clock news, is because state and local governments are not cooperating with the federal government. That's a sin. That's a shame that they think they can do that, and you're going to tell me there's a legal basis for that? Wait till Trump pulls the trigger and institutes the Insurrection Act of 1807. He'll be up their ass so fast with serious responses and putting them in place, including the mayor of Minneapolis, including the governor of Minnesota, times another 20 states, all those blue states that have been beginning to act up. And what are they doing it for? There's billions of dollars they're trying to hide from you and me in what's become the fraudulent abuse of the welfare system and the SNAP system, the federal funds that go to state and local government. We have been defrauded as a nation by our own actors locally. And it is, and we've caught them red-handed. My words, Elon Musk was so upset about it, he went back to Tesla. He opened Pandora's box and saw such a cesspool. He thought he'd see some worms and rodents. He saw rattlesnakes everywhere. He slammed the box shut and said, "Mr. President, I'm going back to Tesla. They're trying to burn us into oblivion. No problem, Elon, get back to work." But we uncovered so much that I cannot believe. I cannot believe it, that it was as bad as it is. And that brings up another point. In our broadcast industry here, we've got Dan Bongino returning to his podcasts and social media. Why did he leave? What flipped him out that was so serious that he couldn't take it anymore? And Dan's no lightweight. He's a respected individual. But I want to know why he left that environment. He was most suited, most able to go after the wrongdoers. The one I really respect the most, there's two people I respect the most right now. Tom Homan under ICE, who has gone out of his way to hang in, put his family under lock and key for the threat of them being harmed. And then on the other side of the fence is a Senator John Fetterman, who stands out, free speaking. And I was worried about that guy in the early days when he took office, but he turned out after his healing of his own issue, wellness, he came back into the forefront and is standing up for what's right for America, not what's right for the Democrat Party. Therein lies the future of the Democrat Party if they survive in the United States.
Yeah, I agree. You know, talking about the fraud for a second, this is the most amazing thing that we've seen. I mean, we're talking about people that are actually going to the airport and they're so confident that nobody's going to do anything that they fill out the forms. You know, if you take over $10,000 in cash on an airplane, you have to inform the authorities that you're doing that. They took millions and millions and millions of dollars out of this country. And all of this is where did Somalis get all these millions of dollars? Well, we know now. They get it from fraudulent activities. That's what they're doing. That's their sort of MO. That's how they operate in Somalia. That's why Somalia can't have a government that works, because nobody participates. They all steal from the government, and they think this is, you know, sort of an honor to steal from the government. And so therefore you've got that mentality that comes to the United States. I heard Sarah Huckabee Sanders, the governor of Arkansas, say, you know, you're talking about if it's just 8 billion, maybe it's 19 billion. We don't know for sure yet. They're still working on that number, but let's just assume and agree that it's 8 billion. She said that's $2 billion more than our state government uses every year. That's how large this fraudulent activity is in Minnesota. And then you've got these governors and mayors. You know, I heard the mayor yesterday say he wanted the police to fight ICE on the street. Did you see the look on that police chief's face that was standing next to him?
Yeah, I don't know where that police chief stands, though. He's got to strap on a set of intestinal fortitude that he needs to step up and impose true law enforcement there. I am angered when I see these news clips in the evening, and nowhere to be found is the Minneapolis Police Department or the state police. ICE stands alone. And that, to me, is the biggest offense. That wouldn't be so if ICE came to Florida or ICE came to Mississippi. I'll bet you dinner, the local law enforcement and the state police would be hand in glove with ICE trying to remedy the situation at hand. And that is why we need an enforceable law enforcement, clarity of law that allows the federal government to act not only in the Insurrection Act, which is an exception to Posse Comitatus. We need true mandates in place. There can be no compromise by the state and local actors, the elected officials. They must stand down, and at the very least, they must cooperate with federal law enforcement. We are a nation of laws. This is exactly why I wanted to unify the election process to a national standard. You got too many wingnuts at the local level. The way we elect a president in Alaska is different than Mississippi, is different than Massachusetts. We've got to have a common process in place that imposes the rules and the election process in all 50 states of the nation. It's too willy-nilly now, and I'm demanding we get a Republican Congress, a Republican president, to get some new constitutional amendments in place to address this, because we're witnessing firsthand the recklessness of the elected officials who come and go and can't get it right. They're all over the place. That's
Yeah.
why we need constitutional amendments to survive.
Yeah, to codify everything that we talk about and some of the things that they're doing. Anyway, that's it. We're out of time. I do
No
appreciate
way.
you. So yeah, just like that.
Just
And
like
hey,
that.
we could do another hour of this, but in any case, I wonder though, the music's playing, but I wonder, does he really need to do the Insurrection Act thing? Is that playing into the hands of these guys? I'm not sure. But anyway, we'll talk about that later at a later date. Thanks, Gene.
Thanks, guys.
Throughout history, the spirit of patriotism has prevailed. The battles may have changed, but the values remain the same. Today, in 2024, we find ourselves at a pivotal moment where the call for unity, freedom, and a better future echoes louder than ever.
For more than 10 years, Patriot Mobile has been committed to supporting the values that make our nation great.
With affordable plans and reliable nationwide coverage, Patriot Mobile is not just a wireless service. It's a call to action for those who believe in the American dream. Because this year is not just any year, it's the most important year since our nation's founding. Choose a wireless carrier that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.